Hi folks, this is Vicki from patternprincess.com. Today I wanted to show you how to work the border on this beautiful blanket I've made. The stitch, I'll explain the blanket first so you can make the pattern either from the video or you can go onto my website and get the full written out pattern for this as well. And I will have that information in the comments, so please make sure you check there. But the blanket itself is made from the double crochet V-stitch. So there's a V-stitch here. So if you can do the double crochet V-stitch, you know how to do this. I do have another video link showing how to do the double crochet V-stitch, and I'll have that in the comment section so that you can find that part. Just to explain what I've used so far, I started this blanket with 100 chains. To do the V-stitch, you want to use a even number of stitches so that you can vary it how wide or how narrow you'd like it. And of course the rows you can change as well. I've used a size J hook. This one happens to be J at 5.75 millimeters. Sometimes they're a little bit different size. I don't know that that the gauge is critical in this blanket here. At least it wasn't for me. And I've used Caron Simply Soft yarn. So far for this blanket, the size without any border on right now is 36 inches wide by 46 inches long. And I'm assuming, because I'm going to be putting on about a 2-inch border, I think. So if you add on, you know, like an inch or two for each side, I think that the finished size is probably going to end up to be 34 wide by 50 long. Or somewhere thereabouts, pretty close. What I have used so far is 2 skeins of Caron Simply Soft Bone and 2 skeins of Caron Simply Soft Light Country Blue. That's the blue here. And I think it just looks lovely together, and I just love it with a stitch. And I wanted to use, normally it calls for a little bit smaller hook, but I wanted to use this bigger hook size here because I really wanted it to be more of a lacy, a little bit more of an open look to it. I just love how this one turned out with this yarn. And what I have done too is I started off, this was the beginning 4 rows. I started off with 4 rows and then, so 4 rows, 3 rows, and 2 rows. So every fourth, after I do I should say this right, 4 rows, 3 rows, and 2 rows. I started off again with 4, 3, 2. I just kept repeating, and then I change colors each time. So then I end up with the bone in here 4 rows, the light country blue 3, the bone for 2 rows. Then I started off with a 4-row repeat again, and I have 4. Then I ended up with 4 of the light country blue, 3 of the bone, 2 of the light country blue, and then I continued on, and then I ended up with 4. So it just makes for a really pretty, nice pattern variation that you really don't even have to think about. All you got to remember is, after I get done with that second row, I start off with I change to a different color, and I just do it for 4 rows. So it's 4, 3, 2. Change the color on each row count. So that's really easy. But I wanted to show you. I think that's all I had to tell you. I should say the number of yards, in case sometimes people have different sizes skeins and whatnot. So the skeins of the 2 skeins come to 630 yards. So I've used 2 so far of bone, 2 so far of light country blue. So 630 yards of each color. And then I think I'm going to end up using probably another skein or close to a skein of bone, and then partial skein of light country blue. Because what I plan on doing, what I've done already, on some of it, is I'm going to do a single crochet around the border. And then I'm going to do 2 rows of half double crochet yet in the bone, and then 1 row of the light country blue, and then another row of the bone, and all in the half double crochet after I do the single crochet. So, but I kind of wanted to show, just that, you know, sometimes for some folks in the beginning, or just sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out, you know, where to place your hook, especially like on the sides when you do the V-stitch. Well, when you do a double crochet, your beginning chain is to do three chains on the end. Well, then sometimes, you know, if you look here, okay, that's going to be kind of a big loop. Well, are you really going to, sometimes if I put 3 in there, then it becomes all wavy, and I don't like that. And then, because then you put 1 in the middle here, so I kind of try and ease it out through the end. Well, then this was the starting row. And if you look at the starting row, sometimes folks get confused, and they'll just put 1 single crochet here. because this is where your V-stitch was, right? So then if they just do one here, well, remember in the beginning row, you skipped a stitch. So you did in the beginning row, you did your 100 chains, and then in the fourth one, you did your 2 double crochets, then you skipped a chain, then you did your 2 double crochets and you skipped a chain. So we got to make sure that when we do our single crochet in each one, that we actually go in between those stitches too. So I did a single crochet here, then I go here for my next single crochet. And this is part of, I wanted to show folks on how to do the border, because again, I have the video on how to do the double crochet V-stitch, but sometimes doing a border on a blanket like this can be confusing. So, and then the next one is going to be right here, right where those 2 double crochets are. So I'm going to do another single crochet and I'm going to finish this up. And then again, in between, I'll go here and then another one right here. So you just got to remember on which side you're working on and where to, whoops, I didn't catch all my loops. Pardon me. All right, I got to go here. And then I knocked my camera too. That wasn't good. So again, in the bottom of, and then in between where you got those double crochets, that stitch there that you had skipped in the first row, got to do that. And then in the bottom where you have your double crochets there. Okay, and then there's one more here, right? But then in each corner, we're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, I'm going to back this up. See how nice this border starts to look? You have a nice single crochet there, and that gives you a nice foundation to work your half double crochets. This is the first corner that I've gone around here. See where I did my 3 single crochets there. Now I'm going to work up the side on the other side, but I've already done this side like this, like I'm going to show you how to do the other side. But see how that gives you a nice edging then to start? So that's what we're going to work on over here. So I've done my 3 single crochet in the corner. You always work 3 stitches in the corner stitch when you're adding on a border, because it really helps ease your yarn around and it helps it lay flat. So I'm still doing my single crochet. So here was our, on the side, we did our 3 chains to make our double crochet height. But then we have that stitch right here where it's kind of like, you know, the stitches are. And then you have the chain 3 again. So what I'm doing on the sides that I found it really eases it nice is I just put my hook in and I do a single crochet in that larger space where you have your chain 3, and then in that space where you have the stitches, I don't know how else to say that or what to call it, I do another single crochet. So in the big space and then in that stitch space and then in the big space, and that's all I do. And it seems to ease it around very nicely. Otherwise, I found if I do more, like I said, it becomes kind of wavy, and I don't know, I have a hard time. And then when I try and explain to folks and say like, oh, you put a single crochet in every stitch, well, I think it can be confusing on the sides. On the ends, on some of them, it's not so hard. On the end that you ended up with, the very last row that you ended up with. Now here you can see where I carried my yarn right here. So where I carried my yarn, I'm going to want to make sure that I go over that, right? So we're going to go into here next, and then we're going to continue working on. But here's how it's looking. I'm going to continue this row, and then I'm going to show you how to do the last side, so you'll know how to do both ends, or I should say both sides, and then both ends by the time I get done. Okay, so I'm coming to the end here, but I also wanted to show you, this was a spot where I ended up, if I had just 2 rows, I'm going to give you a hint as you're working on your blanket. If you have just 2 rows of a color, I actually, knowing that I was going to, this tan, I was going to use again after these 2 rows of blue, I actually just held the tan here, carried it up the side. I just left the yarn here, joined my blue, worked my blue back and forth. When it came to use my tan again, I just slipped it back in up top, and then I just carried it up the side. And so when you do your single crochet on the side, it covers all of those little things up like that. So I've done my single crochet on the side, and I'm now to my last row that I had worked, and of course that already has all of your the tops of the double crochets to work into. So on here, what I do is I'm going to work my 3 single crochet in the corner, 2, 3, and then I'm just going to do a single crochet in each stitch. So that makes it really easy, because on the end, you know, it's really easy to see exactly where your stitches are. It's just like working, you know, it's just like working the next row of crochet. So I'm going to continue doing this to this side. And you're probably thinking, well, why are you single crocheting on this side? I don't think I'd have to. I don't know that you'd really notice, maybe once I get the border all the way done, if you'd notice if I did that single crochet. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. Let me just stop a minute and take a look as we're looking at our stitches. I don't know. It makes it look nice and symmetrical around the corner, and it does again give us a nice foundation to work our next stitches on. So I'm going to continue doing this, and what I'm going to do when I get to the end is, this is the side I started with. You can see I have my little tail here, and what I'm going to do here is here's my little stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch, and then I'll start row 2 around. It's going to be in the same color, so I won't have to change yarn, but then I'll start my half double crochet around, and I'll show you how I do. Okay, I just finished off my last corner. I did my 3 single crochet, and then I did my slip stitch into that first stitch right here. So now it's time to do round 2, and again I'm thinking I'm going to do 2 rounds of the bone, the tan color here, 1 round of the blue, and then another round of the tan, all in the same half double crochet. So as soon as I show you how to do this, you're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch, but in the very corner single crochet on each row, you're going to do 3 half double crochets in that stitch, and then everything else beyond that is the same. So every time you're going to, so in the next row, when you have your 3 half double crochets, in the middle half double crochet is where you would do the next 3 half double crochets, and it really eases everything around nicely. So to do the half double crochet, we're going to, because I done my slip stitch here to get in here, so now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, then yarn over, and we're going to go to the next stitch here, the very first stitch right after, because you've just done your chain 2, and that's going to count for that stitch you were slipped into. So this stitch here, insert your hook, bring your yarn over and bring it through, yarn over, because now you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and bring it through all 3 loops. That is a half double crochet. So yarn over, go to the next stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, and bring it through all 3 loops on your hook. Of course, I was missing some plies there almost. Yarn over, next stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, bring it through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and bring it through all 3. That is how you do your half double crochet. And I'm going to do this in every single stitch. And when you get to the corners, like I said, you're going to do 3 in the same stitch. So let's pretend that this is the corner. All I would do is yarn over, and I'm going to do 1, same stitch, 2, same stitch, 3, and then you would move on to your next stitch. So that's how it would look in your corner. And then see, you have a stitch here, a stitch here, and a stitch here. So this one here is your middle stitch, and that's the next one. When you come around again in a corner, you would do your 3 half double crochets in. But of course, this isn't my corner, so I'm going to take it out. There we go. And then I'm just going to continue on doing my half double crochet. And when you get to the last half double crochet and you come back this way, you are going to do a slip stitch into this top chain of the first 2 the chain 2 you did. So right into this top, because that first one counts as a half double crochet. So that's how we're going to do this, and I'm going to just go around, and then I'll have the, like I said, I will have the written pattern for this on my website, but I kind of wanted to go through and show you how I did the border, just in case, you know, sometimes you write things out and you think, you know, gosh, I understand it, but maybe not. Or maybe somebody's newer and it just needs to know how do you get one in, put a single crochet in each side, and how do you work those borders. And I just think sometimes you get an afghan and a border doesn't matter, but other times you get an afghan and the border just sets it off and really helps make it just one more little touch of elegance to the look of your patterns. So I hope that you enjoy making your blanket, and thank you very much for watching. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You keep up to date with any updates I have. And don't forget, stop by the website and check out. It's patternprincess.com. So check out the patterns or some recipes there. There's even a pattern for sewing a face mask. Who would ever think we'd have to be doing that? So thanks again for stopping by, and have a wonderful time crocheting. And this is how it's going to look too, so you can see how it's really starting to look nice. Give me another row of this here and another blue and this here, and I think that the border will really be finished off nicely. So anyways, thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that this inspires you to make something of your own. Take care. Bye now.